A young man sues the province and Eastern Health. He says they failed to protect him from his abusive family.
They had a duty to protect him and they failed miserably.
How close is too close to get to a whale? For the first time in this province, the court will decide.
More snow and wind for Labrador. It's RDF across much of the island tonight into tomorrow with a mix back to flurries as temperatures fall. The details are coming up.
We start tonight with a warning from a mother in Conception Bay North, but first a warning from us. The story does have some adult language.
Yes, the mother says she was approached by Josh Chubbs, who offered to perform a circumcision on her son, even though Chubbs is not a medical doctor.
Now, she called police, and now Chubbs is charged with engaging in medical practice without a license.
She says he has performed that procedure on other boys in the area.
It's just important for people to realize that without the proper credentials, these people aren't qualified to do that. And it's a scary thought to think that this is going on in your community in a cabin in the woods.
Now, in about 20 minutes, Chrissy Holmes will join us with more from the mother who flagged the concerns.
Well, he was brutally beaten by his mother for years, and now he's looking for compensation from the province and Eastern Health. The 20-year-old man, using the name John Doe, was raised on the Avalon Peninsula. He claims in court documents that authorities knew about his mother's violent history but failed to protect him. Here now's Mark Quinn reports.
Lawyer Lynn Moore says her client suffered unimaginable abuse.
Beaten by his mother, unlawfully confined by her, forced to watch as his siblings were beaten and unlawfully confined.
These documents claim he was slapped, kicked, and struck with objects including a belt and a broom. In 2005, his mother was convicted of criminal negligence causing bodily harm, unlawful confinement, and assault with a weapon. Years earlier, before he was born, his siblings were removed from his mother's care due to extreme abuse. But he says he was left to be raised by his mother despite her extensive history of neglect and abuse documented by government officials upon his birth.
They knew that there were very serious allegations and their investigations were insufficient and their actions were insufficient. And the department refused to make the tough decision to take them out and left them there.
Moore says the abuse her client suffered left lasting scars. She says government officials should have done more to protect him.
He's a deeply troubled individual, and he has suffered a great loss because of this. And they had a duty to protect him and they failed miserably.
He's suing both Eastern Health and the provincial government, claiming they were negligent, reckless, and/or willfully blind in allowing him to remain under his mother's care. Statements of defense haven't been filed yet. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, still with the courts, there were acquittals entered today for two men charged after a police investigation that targeted high-level cocaine trafficking in the St. John's area. Kurt Churchill and Anthony Clow had been arrested and charged back in 2014. Churchill was charged with cocaine trafficking and weapons offenses. Clow with money laundering and possession of property obtained by crime. Now, they were swept up in an investigation the police called Operation Battalion. The lawyers for Churchill and Clow recently filed an application about unfair delays. Their trial was scheduled for next January in 2018. Well, this morning, after that application was filed, the Crown decided to call no evidence in the case. Churchill and Clow were then acquitted of all charges. It's the latest case in this province affected by a Supreme Court of Canada decision last summer. The top court imposed firm deadlines for cases to be concluded, something that has resulted in many charges going away because they did not go through the system fast enough.
To the provincial court in St. John's, that's where today, for the first time in this province, someone has been charged with disturbing a whale, and there's a CBC connection. Here now's Daniel McCachran reports.
CBC crew was on the water with DFO scientists in August 2014 when they shot this video of a tour boat and speedboat near a humpback whale. Now the video was a key piece of evidence at the trial of Walter Merrick, who was alleged to be the skipper of the tour boat. The court heard testimony Wednesday from the fisheries officer who investigated the complaint, as well as Cyril Garland, the captain of the smaller speedboat. Garland, who was not charged, told the court he was maintaining a safe distance from the whale, but says the tour boat got too close to his boat as well as to the whale.
The Crown has several more witnesses to call, and the trial will resume in July. Iceberg Quest Ocean Tours, whose tour boat Merrick was the skipper of, has also been charged. That trial begins in June. Daniel McEachran, CBC News, St. John's.
We have an update now on the case of an alleged Milltown arsonist. The man charged appeared before a court in Grand Falls, Windsor today. The CBC's Chris Ensing was there.
Donald Craig McCate appeared by video today at the Grand Falls, Windsor courthouse. He's been charged with setting fire deliberately to 3 key buildings in the Milltown Head of Bay Despair region. You may remember this video from back in January. That's the school burning to the ground. These pictures show the aftermath of the damage at the RCMP detachment. And here's what it looked like inside of the town hall after McCate allegedly set fire to the building. Now, neighbors describe McCate as a quiet, reclusive man, and that was certainly the case today. Here he is, again, appearing by video link. There were technical difficulties. He couldn't hear the judge at certain times during the appearance today. Now, McCate was ordered to complete a psychiatric assessment, and that assessment did deem that he would be fit to stand trial. Now, at today's appearance, the defense asked for more time to review disclosure related to the case. They're also asking for access to a search warrant that was conducted in relation to these charges. The case will be called before a judge in Grand Falls, Windsor in April. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Grand Falls, Windsor.
Well, the Twitter account linked to the Rocky Harbour Fire Department is raising some eyebrows. In the past few weeks, Rocky Harbour Fire tweets have been called xenophobic or nationalist. One says it is not racist to disagree with Sharia law or to protect Canadian values. The Rocky Harbour Fire Department says it didn't even know it had a Twitter account, and they have no idea who could be behind the messages. This afternoon, at the request of the fire department, Twitter disabled the account.
And speaking of social media hacking, Turkish hackers are being blamed after a number of Twitter accounts were compromised. The attacks appeared to be a form of political vandalism following ongoing diplomatic tensions between Turkey and the Netherlands. Accounts featured tweets with Nazi symbols and the phrase, "See you in April," on April 16th. Now, that's a reference to Turkey's planned referendum. The accounts were compromised through a third-party service called Twitter Counter. Officials at Twitter say the vulnerability has now been fixed.
Well, there's still no word on the cause of this fire at Syncrude's Mildred Lake oil sands upgrader. One person was taken to hospital in serious but stable condition after yesterday's explosion and fire shut down part of the operation north of Fort McMurray. Syncrude says the fire was isolated and was under control last night. Employees were called back to work today.
Yes, it may look like Christmas in March, but there's a good reason the lights are bright in Labrador West. Now, there's been a rash of suicides in the area, and the community wanted to shine a light on the issue. So residents have been asked to turn on their decorations during the area's annual winter carnival. The Labrador West detachment of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary had the idea to use the lights as a way to raise awareness around mental health. Mayor Karen Olford applauded the move.
Not one person in our community hasn't been touched by the loss of life, and we're a small community, we're very close-knit. Everybody knows everybody, and so it's been tough. And so anything that we can do that show people that we really do care, that we want to make a difference, that we don't want anybody to feel alone or isolated, that people really are willing to open their doors and their houses and just sit down and have a chat.
People right across the Northeast Avalon are still tallying up the damage from Saturday's windstorm. Next, we hear about whether the hurricane-like winds could hurt crops at a local popular farm.
And there's a warning tonight about the number of polar bears being spotted in residential areas in Labrador. Later, we'll let you know how you can avoid an encounter with one of these.
Welcome back to Here and Now. This past weekend's hurricane force winds damaged Lester's farm in St. John's, but it didn't dampen Chris Lester's optimistic spirit. Have a look.
My name is Chris Lester. I'm part owner of Lester's Farm Market on Brookfield Road. Saturday past, we had a substantial amount of wind come through. It damaged 5 out of our 17 greenhouses. We're quite fortunate. We didn't have any crops in there. It's the structures are still good. It's just the plastic and the polycarbonate coatings. They're somewhere very far east of here. So one of the jobs we did have planned for this week was moving these perennials outside. You don't want them getting too warm inside the covered greenhouses, but I guess on the brighter side, we don't have to do that this week now, since there's no plastic on this greenhouse. So we've always got people looking for used greenhouse plastic to cover their small greenhouses. It's not going to be a problem this year. We've got an abundance of it. As you can see, the crops in this greenhouse are doing quite well. The hurricane winds, they never affected this house at all. We narrowly avoided disaster in here though. We were lucky enough we had our generators going to keep the water pumping. You see there's very little roots here. If the water had to stop pumping for even an hour, we would have lost everything in this greenhouse. So, you know, due to the fact that it's only the middle of March, we've got a minimal amount of plants growing so far, and the greenhouses that have been affected were absolutely empty. So we will open on time. We will not be delayed at all this coming season.
Sounds like it could have been worse, and
Definitely.
we want to thank Bruce Tilley for putting that together for us today.
And it was looking at the damage there from the last windstorm, I guess it was the West Coast's turn now to have some damage from the winds.
Yeah, last night in through this morning, again, we were talking about exposed areas of the West Coast, especially the Wreck House region that was prone to seeing those gap winds that funnel through the Long Range Mountains. Well, Wreck House peaked at 160, and this was some damage in that area. This was from the Codroy region, and Roger Hilliard forwarded this along, and you can see some extensive damage there. You can see there is definitely some insulation, and yeah, that Civic, pardon me, the CRV there, buried in rubble there. So hopefully everybody was safe and sound, but thanks to Roger for forwarding that along. In terms of the gusts elsewhere, 102 in Port aux Basques, 93 in Burgeo. These are some unofficial gusts across the island for today. 94 in St. John's, and the winds were howling here across the Avalon yet again. The strongest winds have now pushed offshore, and that's the good news. Winds are going to be calmer for tonight. Still a little on the breezy side, but nothing like they were earlier today. You can see where the winds are northeasterly across Labrador. That's been pumping in the cold stuff, and that's why we've got the snow on the way for you folks. And it's the mild air and the RDF across the island through tonight, and we're still seeing those showers. The wind warnings are still in effect for the Burin and the Southern Avalon. The rest of the warnings across the island have been dropped. Not so much for Labrador, as this system cranks up tonight. We'll continue to bring snow and blowing snow. We have blowing snow advisories in effect for Rigolette, Postville, Makovic, and Hopedale. And we have winter storm warnings now in effect from Happy Valley, Goose Bay to Cartwright and down into the southeast parts of Labrador. We're looking at about 15 to 20, 25 centimeters for Goose Bay, Eagle River, and for the Cartwright region down through Mary's Harbor, looking at as much as 30 centimeters to 35 centimeters there. The Straits will likely end up in that 20-25 range as well. Note your timeline here. More RDF in the east tonight. Pretty quiet through central, some patchy drizzle and fog. The west coast will see a bit of mixing through the overnight and this evening, and then it's back to snow by tomorrow morning. Could see another brief 2 to 5 centimeters here for you folks, so heads up for that for your early morning drive. And the northern peninsula also back into the snow by tomorrow morning. The second round works into Labrador just as we're moving into tomorrow morning, so not quite as heavy snowfall tonight. It's more so tomorrow when you really get into the meat and potatoes of this second round coming in. There are your temperatures for tomorrow morning in your morning outlook. Looking at 6 on the plus side for St. John's, closer to the freezing mark for the west coast, and we're going to start the day near minus 12 to minus 20 across Labrador. Watch your timeline here. The snow continues right through the day tomorrow along most of Labrador. Basically everywhere south of Nain will see periods of snow at times heavy. Labrador City a little on the lighter side as well. For the west coast, it's onshore flurries and a chance of showers mixes over to a chance of flurries for central and eastern Newfoundland through the day tomorrow. Temperatures are going to be, again, as I mentioned, starting near 6 degrees in St. John's, but we end up near 2 into the afternoon. We'll see a chance of some sunshine in there as well. So a little taste of everything tomorrow. Sun, showers, flurries by the end of the day. And again, temperatures steady near the freezing mark in the west with a better chance of some flurries through the day there. Could pick up some local accumulations of a trace to a couple centimeters. And again, the snow continues for you folks in Labrador. We'll walk you through St. Patrick's Day Friday and your St. Patrick's Day long weekend coming up.
A Carbonear man is facing charges tonight. It's alleged he was treating people medically, but he didn't have a medical license. And he's accused of performing circumcisions in a cabin in the woods. We'll have the details in a few minutes, and a warning, there will be some adult language.
CBC NL presents tasty tunes with local musicians and chefs, a songwriters circle, and small plates in support of the Community Food Sharing Association. Visit cbc.ca/NL for all the deets.
Now to a bizarre story coming out of Carbonear. 23-year-old Josh Chubbs is facing charges under the Medical Act for practicing medicine without a license. Here's where it takes a turn. One mother from Conception Bay North says she has evidence that Chubbs has been acting like a doctor and performing illegal circumcisions, evidence she's given to police. Chrissy Holmes is digging into the story. So, Chrissy, what do we know about Josh Chubbs?
Well, Peter, I can tell you that Josh Chubbs is not a doctor. We have confirmed that. I have learned, though, that he is a musician, and at one point he did work at a funeral home in the area.
So he's a mortician then?
Not exactly. This is where things take another turn. According to a woman I spoke with, he did claim to be one, but I reached out to the Embalmers and Funeral Directors Board of Newfoundland and Labrador, and a spokesperson with the board told me that Mr. Chubbs is not a licensed funeral director. However, it was confirmed that Chubbs did start out on a 12-month apprenticeship at the funeral home. That was back in 2014, Peter, but he didn't complete that term, and he also didn't complete the paperwork required to be licensed. And again, that was also news to a woman in CBN.
Okay, so back to her now. How did this circumcision issue come up?
Well, the woman says it actually happened while she and Chubbs were chatting on Facebook. Now, the woman, who CBC is not identifying, told me that police asked her to not share those Facebook grabs with the media, but that it was okay to share the content of those messages with the media itself. Now, the alleged conversation that Chubbs struck up with this woman was about her son, who's under 10 years old. Now, when I was at her house, she took out her phone and read me some of those messages, and it was an exchange that she says got strange pretty quick.
It abruptly turned into something that I couldn't wrap my head around entirely. Out of nowhere, he says, "So do you mind if I ask you something?" And I said, "Ask away, dear, what's on your mind?" He said, "I know this might be an odd question, but with your son, does he get many water infections, do you find?" And at this point, I kind of red flagged the conversation, because I had heard from another friend of mine who had told us a story about Josh approaching him to have a medical procedure done by him, and it was a very awkward conversation for him. At that point, I said, like, surely this isn't what he's trying to get at here, but I should try to find out more information. So I said, "None, why?" And he said, "Okay, well, that's good. Just wondering. I deal with a lot of kids, and he's just of that age now. It all depends, really." I said, "You deal with a lot of kids. Aren't you a mortician? What does it depend on?" He said, "Ha ha ha, yes, but just because I'm a mortician by trade, don't mean I don't do anything else." I pried even further, and I said, "Well, I'm very conscientious about how he cleans it, if that's what you mean." He said, "Well, yes, in a way it is." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, you say you make sure of how he cleans it. What have you done?" I said, "Well, he's not cut, if that's what you mean." And he said, "Well, I figured he probably wasn't." And I said, "Why are you asking me this?" He said, "I'm sorry, I was just trying to help. You said you were very conscientious of how he cleans it. If he isn't cut, do you pull his foreskin back at all?" He said, "Well, sometimes parents don't teach their kids to pull it back, and if they don't, it could lead to problems. Can you text me instead of Facebook?" And at this point, I told him that I was unable to text and continued on with the Facebook conversation, because then I had his name attached to the conversation. I said, "So what does this have to do with you? Are you some sort of specialist or something?" And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm just curious as to why you want to know or whatever." He said, "Yes, I don't brag about it or tell lots of people, so I'd rather this was between us. But I did training in pediatric urology, so I was just trying to help." I said, "Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool." He said, "Yes, I've dealt with lots of boys who have had issues that are completely preventable." "Do you work at the hospital?" He said, "No, I never went ahead with it. I was going to do foreign exchange overseas in Third World, but I got full-time at the funeral home, so I didn't do it. But I've helped lots of parents around here on the side, friends, you know." I said, "Oh, really? Is that even legal? I'm sorry, you've just got my curiosity piqued. How far did you make it in the course? Did you finish it?" And at this point, I had Googled the length of time that it takes to become a pediatric urologist, and he hasn't even been out of high school for that long. So I knew then that this was something that needed to be brought to a higher power's attention. And I said, "So do you actually perform circumcisions and whatnot if they need them?" And he said, "Yes, I do examinations, phyectomies, which I think is supposed to be frenectomy, but I don't know for sure, and circumcision as well. Circumcision," he said, "is a very beneficial option." He said, "I did finish the course, got all my papers. It's not illegal. I'm trained. I just don't work for the hospital, which is why I don't broadcast, but it's legal." A lot of these words are misspelled, so forgive me if I struggle reading them. I said, oh, very good. Why not get a position at the hospital? And this might sound odd, Josh, but can I see your credentials? He said, I'm sorry to have caused any fuss. I just want what's best for your child. I wasn't trying to be nosy. I said, no fuss. Just wanted to see your certification before I ask any further questions because I do have some. He said, yes, no problem. He never did send it. He said, and even then, I'd rather it was just between us type of thing. I said, of course. He said, you wouldn't believe all the things I've seen caused by mishaps in youth. But anyway, I said, yeah. So if my son needed a circumcision, what would you do? And he said, I see. Well, it's really simple, especially when they're young. It's a 10-minute procedure. I said, and where would you do that? He said, well, I'm all about making the child comfortable. I could do it right in your home, bring sterile drapes and whatnot to him. That's spelled incorrectly as well. Or I've done it at my place, same thing, sterile drapes and all the equipment. And his place is a cabin in Freshwater.
So did he perform the procedure on other people? What did you learn?
He told me, as for how many I've done, over 50 in the last few years, but that's circumcision, not anything else. Not everyone with an issue needs it, and I could most likely have someone tell you I do good work. And he did refer me to a mutual friend of ours who I spoke to, and they did tell me that they did have a procedure done by him and that he was very professional, but recommended me to not take my child to him, obviously, if I was uncomfortable, but he said that he didn't have any issues.
And nobody else has come forward just yet?
Not for me to know of.
Why was it important for you to tell this story?
It's just important for people to realize that without the proper credentials, these people aren't qualified to do that. And it's a scary thought to think that this is going on in your community in a cabin in the woods.
That was the woman who made the original report to police. The RCMP and Harbour Grace say Josh Chubbs is now facing charges under the Medical Act. His first court date is coming up on April the 12th.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. That's the CBC's Chrissy Holmes with us tonight.
It's for Inuit, by Inuit, to help mobilize their knowledge.
A small charity co-created by a St. John's man is in the running for a huge prize. The details coming up. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, a small charity co-founded by a St. John's man is getting a big boost from a national competition. The Siku project, created by the Arctic Eider Society, is one of 10 finalists in the Google Impact Challenge, a competition which supports nonprofit organizations that use technology to tackle social issues.
Siku, the Inuktitut word for sea ice, connects communities across the Arctic.
The Siku project is an Inuit social mapping online platform, an app that people living in the north can use to share cultural knowledge and environmental observations. I spoke with one of the creators of the Siku project to find out how it works.
It's for Inuit, by Inuit, to help mobilize their knowledge and kind of link, traditional knowledge and science, and bring together modern technology with the tools that are still tried and tested. Like you still need to test the ice with your harpoon to make sure it's safe, but we can still use the mobile apps at the same time to mobilize that knowledge and document it. So we've set it up so that in addition to being able to tag profiles for people, we have profiles for different types of wildlife, and as well as for different types of sea ice using Inuktitut terminology. And so you can tag photos, and a hunter can go out on the land and they could take a picture of an area that's dangerous. So the ice has been changing a lot, things are getting more dangerous, and for example, aputangnak is the Inuktitut word for sea ice, where it looks safe on the surface, but the currents have washed it out from underneath, so it's dangerous and you could lose your skidoo. And so the hunter can take a picture using their phone, tag aputangnak on the photo spatially. It's geo-referenced, so it shows up on the map, and younger hunters in the community can see those conditions. And so it helps with safety on the ice, linking on-the-ground observations to remote sensing sea ice imagery, but also allows them to document observations over time and mobilize that knowledge for environmental stewardship. Well, for example, one of the Inuit hunters has been telling us that they've noticed the diets of seals changing from Arctic cod to shrimp. And so they've been noticing that over time, and one of the first programs we're going to be using with this is going to be basically hunters that can go out and they can take a photo of the stomach contents of a seal and tag it with the type of prey. And so basically they'll be collecting their own raw data using Inuit knowledge and observations and be able to document that quantitatively. And so it's going to help mobilize that Inuit knowledge. But then, for example, the Northern Contaminants Program has been looking at contaminants in polar bears, and the pathways for contaminants go for what polar bears eat and what the seals that polar bears are eating eat. And so understanding those pathways can also help with the models for understanding contaminants. So the kind of possibilities that start, from these simple pictures and just tagging them and mobilizing that knowledge in the right way, it really can be powerful and help with environmental stewardship. Yeah, we did the first ever street view of remote sea ice habitats, so you can kind of walk around the plinias and the flow edges, and we're trying to bring in a bunch of different sea ice imagery. The maps back, the ocean is what you see is just a blue area on a lot of maps, but the icescape is what really matters in terms of the geography for northerners. We really want this to be a network for people across the north. And Inuit have kind of created their own groups on social media already. There's a group, Inuit Hunting Stories of the Day, for example, where they share their stories online. But it kind of ends up, they're just basically putting photos and comments, and there's no way to mobilize that knowledge. So, but when you can tag a photo with a seal and what the seal is eating, then you can go back, and when you can use a map as well as a timeline with points and lines and polygons and put those photos on the map and tell a story with chapters, then you can go back and say, where did we hunt seals for the last 5 years? So then you can mobilize that knowledge. So the social media is the interface for this database that you can really mobilize the knowledge through. Our goal, our vision as a charity, is to try and get youth interested in being the next generation of environmental monitors and leaders, give them the opportunities to partner them with the hunters to get experience, and then they'll be the next generation, and giving them culturally relevant employment.
Now, the contest winners of the Google Impact Challenge are decided through online voting, so you can go to the website votesiku.com to vote for this project. It's a pretty big prize, too. All 10 finalists get $250,000, and 5 of the top winners will get an additional $500,000, a total of $750,000.
Well, more than 50 countries around the globe use English as an official language, but here in Canada, some words are distinctly ours. A team of researchers spent more than a decade pulling together a dictionary of Canadianisms. Most of the words you'll be familiar with, but some of them may surprise you. The CBC's Emily Brass has more.
When it comes to Canadianisms, one word comes up a lot.
A.
Turns out it's a word with many meanings. Researchers at UBC spent 11 years updating the Dictionary of Canadianisms. The entry for A is nearly 5,000 words long.
Well, if I didn't hear you, I'd say A, just to get you to repeat something. Or I could say, that was a really great game, eh? Or this one is called the narrative A. I was going down the street, and I ran into my friend,
Many Canadianisms are actually words for food that we eat here or trademarks that are uniquely Canadian. There are also regional words like some of the ones used here in Montreal.
For instance, the word for convenience store, dépanneur, or DEP for short.
I've never in my life actually said convenience store or like corner store. Does people say that?
Other notable Canadian words.
Pudding? Yeah. Probably Timbits.
The orange cheesies.
No. All dressed chips. Canadian.
Out west, Fee says words like Chinook come from Indigenous languages, while Newfoundlanders have enough unique words to have their own dictionary. The prairies have expressions like coffee row.
People who go to Tim Hortons every morning for coffee and then they talk about politics. I think it's something like, you know, a word from the coffee row is that Stephen Harper isn't going to make it this time.
Differences aside, Fee says it's not just the words that make us Canadian, but the way we say them.
There are features of the way we pronounce words that allow other people to recognize us as Canadian. We may not hear it, but Americans probably would.
The Dictionary of Canadianisms is set to be published online later this month. Emily Brass, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, great story there, and a little segue to the weather now as we talk about the entire country. Cartwright has had a crazy couple of weeks.
It seems that every storm that comes through, they end up being right on that bullseye.
That's right. Cartwright in southeastern Labrador, definitely the bullseye, and yet again, over the next 24 hours, another 30 centimeters will be added to these totals. So from March 1st to March 14th, 100 and almost 20 centimeters of snow in Cartwright. Now, the rest of those numbers are from November 1st to March 14th. And so Cartwright, in the last 2 weeks, has more snow than much of Western Canada and even Toronto.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Combined.
So yeah, they got in 1 month what the rest of the country seems to get over the course of a whole
Yeah,
winter.
2 weeks. 2 weeks they've had that. And yeah, Montreal, again, after that snow last night, they've obviously pulled ahead a little bit. St. John's, by the way, in case you're wondering, 353 centimeters so far this winter. Cartwright total at 355 centimeters so far this winter. And as I mentioned, another 20 to 30 centimeters on the way for Cartwright through tonight and into tomorrow. Winter storm warnings are in effect for Goose Bay down into the Straits, and we are looking at blowing snow advisories from Rigolette and up the north coast. This is the system that we are watching, and it's again rolling in. As I mentioned earlier, some damaging winds in the Codroy Valley early this morning. Those winds have now pushed up into the southeastern parts of Labrador, where we will see some gusts in the 70-80 kilometer per hour range possible along exposed areas of the coast, mainly as the winds shift to north through the day tomorrow. It's RDF on the menu for St. John's and the eastern parts of Newfoundland tonight. Pretty quiet through central. The west coast will go back to some flurries and even a little bit of light snow for tomorrow morning. And then it's flurry chances for pretty much everyone into the afternoon tomorrow as temperatures go from 3, 4, 5 degrees, even 6 in the east, back down to the freezing mark into the afternoon. Will be steady near zero for you folks along the west coast. Some sun breaks in the mix too for central and eastern Newfoundland. So a little taste of everything. There's that snow that will continue across much of Labrador, but especially from Happy Valley, Goose Bay to Cartwright. There are those winds in from the north that will be gusty. So some blowing snow, hence the winter storm warnings in effect there. And watch your timeline here as we roll into Friday. More scattered flurry chances across the island. We are going to be seeing those just lingering flurry risks for pretty much everyone for your St. Patrick's Day. And there he is. Yes, every year he makes an appearance. Back on my weather maps yet again. Sun and cloud and a pretty quiet St. Patrick's Day across western parts of Labrador with those onshore flurries. Now, for your St. Patrick's Day weekend, of course, most of us are going to be enjoying St. Patrick's Day for Saturday into Sunday. Some lingering flurry chances Saturday. Some sunshine breaking through, especially over the western half of the island. Sun and cloud for you folks in Labrador, anywhere from -6 to -12. Sunday looking pretty quiet too. Area of high pressure hanging out. That will mean quite a bit of sunshine on the menu, but note the clouds that build into the afternoon. This is our next system, which will be brewing in, looks like for the evening into the overnight. Latest forecast model track brings that over the island, which will have yet another snow to rain mix for most of us. At least that's the latest thinking, and there are those Monday, Tuesday numbers. So Sheila's brush, perhaps a bit of a wet, sloppy brush. as we take a look at the Monday-Tuesday outlook as of now. In the Labrador, we are again looking at beautiful conditions this weekend and quiet until about mid next week.
Well, time now to meet our young athlete of the day. This is Kyra Grandy from Grand Bank.
Well, she's 11 years old and is a netminder with the United Town Pirates, another goalie this week. We hope you're having a fun season, Kyra.
Congratulations on being chosen as today's Young Athlete of the Day.
More and more people in coastal Labrador are reporting polar bears in their area. That's enough to prompt a warning on how to protect yourself. That's up next. Welcome back to Here and Now, and back to one of our top stories. A young man in St. John's is suing the provincial government and Eastern Health. He says they knew his mother was abusive but failed to protect him. His lawyer, Lynn Moore, told Here and Now what happens to him and why he's seeking compensation.
Client was beaten by his mother, unlawfully confined by her, forced to watch as his siblings were beaten and unlawfully confined, and also forced to tape up his siblings as part of their unlawful confinement. This went on from his birth until he was apprehended at age 7.
And what action is he taking against the government?
Well, the government was heavily involved with the family, and the case is predicated on the fact that they knew that there were very serious allegations, and their investigations were insufficient and their actions were insufficient. From my perspective, it seems like the Department of Child Welfare was completely married to the idea that children must be with their mother, and the unfortunate reality is that some people cannot have children, and the department refused to make the tough decision to take them out and left them there. There were over 30 referrals over the years about these children, and the referrals were allegations of very serious misconduct on her part, many of them, and they would go to her and say, we have this referral, and she would say, oh, that's not true, and they would accept that. And at the same time, she would prohibit them from physically examining the children, and that should have been a signpost to them that something was very seriously wrong. When a child is hurt by their primary caregiver, or early in life, it can have lifelong impacts. And my client has suffered considerably because of this. And he continued to suffer while he was in care following the apprehension. And he's a deeply troubled individual, and he has suffered a great loss because of this. And they had a duty to protect him, and they failed miserably.
Neither the province nor Eastern Health have filed a statement of defense in this civil case. Well, the demolition of the old paper mill in Grand Falls, Windsor is now complete. The training center here is the last building standing. The town thinks that there is a way to use the building and the land to help grow the community. But the province isn't ready to comment on what's going to happen next at the site. The mayor of Grand Falls, Windsor says it's making it difficult to plan what to do next.
Right now we got an abandoned industrial site, and we want to make sure that that's not the case for years to come, because we want to start planning, but it's difficult to start planning until we have a clear picture of what the province's intentions are.
And there's a warning tonight prompted by the many recent sightings of polar bears in Labrador. In the Black Tickle area alone, there are at least 7 reports of polar bears spotted wandering in the area. Others have been seen in Mary's Harbour and Red Bay. Conservation officers are asking people to be aware of their surroundings to avoid any kind of an encounter. People are also being encouraged to travel in groups and to store, collect, and dispose of garbage properly so polar bears won't be attracted to residential areas.
Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in New York tonight. He's catching a Broadway performance of the Canadian musical Come From Away. The show just opened on The Great White Way to rave reviews from the New York Times and Washington Post. Now, if you haven't heard from it about this, it tells the story of passengers on flights that were diverted on September 11th and forced to land in Gander. And the small town, along with nearby communities, opened their doors to strangers from around the world. While a major winter snowstorm has led to deaths in Quebec, the victims were found trapped in their car, which was buried in snow. The province was hammered by a major winter storm. In Montreal, 40 centimeters of snow fell, leading to accidents, disruptions, and questions about the province's response. Alison Northcott reports.
With the snow still falling this morning, Montrealers got to work. It was a record-breaking snowfall for this date. Highways were shut down and there was near zero visibility, leading to accidents and dangerous pileups like this. There were also tragic consequences. East of Quebec City, 2 people were found dead in a car buried in the snow. Police and ambulances couldn't reach them.
Their vehicles were jammed in the snow, so they had to use snowmobiles. Unfortunately, despite all these efforts, they arrived too late.
On this highway in Montreal, hundreds of drivers were stranded overnight. Some abandoned their vehicles, others waited hours for help.
We'll stay in the traffic 12 hours without any help, without anything, and we can move any car.
Crews finally started to clear the route this morning, towing away cars and shuttling people to safety, while Quebec's premier acknowledged the response lacked coordination.
I know that people are working hard on the ground and all of this, but we have to take the lessons out of this situation and do better, much better next time.
Push! Push!
Montreal's buses couldn't handle the conditions. Many got stuck. Some drivers had to abandon their routes and wait for tow trucks. With many schools closed for a rare snow day, kids took full advantage.
Really snowy and really, really, really white.
The storm has now headed east, and Environment Canada says it's losing steam along the way. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Some employers are calling for randomized drug testing when marijuana becomes legal in Canada. They're concerned more people will start showing up to work high and that the federal government hasn't considered the consequences. Catherine Cullen has more.
When you do your job several stories off the ground, the dangers of showing up stoned seem obvious. But even right now, it happens. In the construction industry and beyond, employers say they're worried it will get worse once marijuana is legalized.
Where there is a threat to your health and safety, we should have zero tolerance for this.
legal or otherwise. It should be zero tolerance.
He's among those who want the federal government to put new, stricter rules in place around drug testing. Derek Hines represents employers in the airline, rail, and communications industries, including the CBC.
We believe random testing should be a part of the solution in Canada when we're looking at safety-sensitive industries.
But some point out that not only raises serious privacy issues, there's also the question of the testing itself, which isn't as straightforward as with alcohol.
With marijuana, we're in a different place because we can tell that you've consumed it. We just don't know whether you're impaired.
We asked Canada's Labour Minister what she thought of randomized testing, but didn't get a direct answer.
I agree that substance use at work has been an issue for as long as we've had substances, and so we're working very closely with the provinces and territories right now to come up with a framework that will address substance use at work.
Now, a framework may not be anything like randomized testing. The minister didn't elaborate, but discussions are going to happen quickly because the Liberals have committed to presenting their plan to legalize marijuana this spring. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Oh, that looks frightening. Why are you slowing down?
A terrifying moment on Lake Winnipeg, and it was all captured on this Facebook Live video. A couple narrowly escaped their sinking truck when it crashed through the ice. The man and the woman were trying to save time by cutting across the frozen lake. The next thing they knew, they were going under the ice. Good news though, they escaped unharmed. Look at that.
Well, imagine coming home to this wonder of winter weather. Wow, there is a house under all that ice located on the shore of Lake Ontario in Webster, New York. Waves from the lake and intense winds mixed together to create this amazing winterscape.
Wow.
It's going to be a job to get inside, though, I'd say. Need a chisel and a hammer.
And hopefully you're able to, you don't fall on the way to the front door. While the tributes keep coming in for Team Guju after their Brier win on the weekend, and even the folks at this hour has 22 minutes couldn't help but get in on the fun. Have a look at this.
Newfoundland's Team Guju are the Canadian curling champions after winning the Brier on home ice on Sunday.
But from listening to them on the ice, you'd never know they were from the Rock.
I think it's 6 feet slower than it's been all week in this path.
Yeah, that much, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened to the good old-fashioned Newfoundland accent? We here at 22 Minutes think Team Newfoundland would be much more entertaining if they maintained the stereotypical cadence and humor one might expect from a team from Newfoundland. Take a look.
Alberta throwing, and nice throw. Now Team Newfoundland coming in to deliberate their next play.
There's that over now, boys. Oh, it could be worse, though. At least your pecker's not caught in a rabbit's snare up Jackson's line. Right you are, sir. What are you looking at here now, me old cock?
I say we shaved the kid off that one there. Jam that one in there as tight as the jeans on the preacher's wife. That should do her.
Or if we smacks the face off he, driving him up Aunt Maisie's lane, we can freeze tree for one. Money back guaranteed.
I don't like it, boss.
What?
No, think about it, okay? Look, here, now, if Fatty Arbuckle here gets knocked back to Wednesday, that's going to leave him exposed like Uncle Josiah Newberry up there at the gravel pit on May 2 for a long weekend. So, what I think we should do, right? Put a pig on the bridge.
Yeah.
Right? Keep nippers out. That way she'll be cinched so tight, the jig's dinner won't even make it past the gullet, eh, boy?
Everything, bud. Yep. Everything.
Yeah. Then we'll be like keeping eyes up Joey Snowball's hole.
What do you mean by that?
Lord Dino, man, that means that we'll have an opportunity to steal 2 in the 8th end. Lord Dino, man, who you belongs to? You're about as stunned as a kitten fresh out of the dryer, eh, boy?
I knows what he meant.
Yes, boy, I suppose you do. Anyways, look, if we misses what odds, eh?
Yeah.
Just like Mother used to say, you're only as good as a gutted Tommy Cod on a flag maggedy with nippers, arse over tea kettle, hopped up on apple chew, sucking on a chummy jigger that you found in your tingamajig, eh, boy?
Yes, you can say that again, Skipper.
Well, I'm a third, boy. I'm a third. I keep telling you that, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Let's do it. Come on, good job. Let's go. Let's do this.
Team Newfoundland, as they should sound. This message has been brought to you by 22 Minutes Ministry of Perpetual Stereotypes.
Deadly. Looking forward to seeing that again and again. That'll be a classic for sure. Now, as we take a look at your forecast over through tomorrow, again, snow on the go. Cartwright back into the most of southern Labrador. Across the island, it's back to some flurries and light snow for the south coast. Some sunbreak central and east with a chance of some showers mixing over to a few flurries. And while that may not seem much like a spring forecast, there are, yes, some signs out there. Aww.
Lovely.
Is that you, Spring?
Hello, Spring.
Daryl Hancock snapped this up by the Geo Center up on
Really?
Signal Hill. Yes.
Lovely
They
place
didn't
for a
blow
walk.
away.
No, definitely. So all good.
I like
all
the look
good.
of that.
Yep, definitely. Slowly but surely creeping in. And of course, St. Patrick's Day, then Sheila's brush will come through, and then officially spring on the 21st. So
Smooth sailing.
Yeah, except remember last April, which was the snowiest month ever? I know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's it for us.
Minor
Good night,
details.
everyone.
Have a good night.